Welcome to Prairie Pulse. I'm Matt O'Lean sitting in for John Harris. We have a great guest today. His name is Dr. Stephen Boris. He is the executive director of the famed Winnipeg Art Gallery in Winnipeg. And thanks for being here, Stephen.
It's great to come down here for the day.
Well, we love the Winnipeg Art Gallery here at Prairie Public. We've done many stories up there over the years, but we'll get into that and what's going on at the WAG right now, as it's called. But first of all, tell us about yourself, where you're from originally, and how through your travels and other jobs you came back to Winnipeg to be executive director of the Winnipeg Art Gallery.
Well, I grew up in Winnipeg, and then I went to university out east in Toronto and Montreal. I worked at the National Gallery of Canada in Ottawa, and then traveled to the States. I was in Cleveland. I was curator, and I taught at Oberlin College, which is a fine liberal arts college. That's where I met my wife. Was there, and then we traveled to Sarasota, Florida, where I was the chief curator at the Ringling Museum of Art. And just under 2 years ago, this opportunity came up to return to Canada and to my city of my birth in Winnipeg. So we returned with our son to Winnipeg in the late summer of 2008.
How's the adjustment been as executive director? What's the job like? What are your goals for the gallery?
Well, if you had to pick a time to be director of the WAG, I think it's now. We're approaching our centennial year, which is 2012. The WAG is in a very good state, intellectually, culturally, financially, and for me to come back to Winnipeg is kind of exciting. It's giving something back. When Winnipeggers return to the city, there's kind of an embrace when you can do something.
Now tell me about the history of the art gallery. You said the centennial is in 2012, right? So just tell us about the history, how it was founded through the years, and then maybe some of the centennial things you have coming up in 2 years.
You might be interested to know that the WAG is the oldest civic art museum in Canada,
Okay.
established in 1912, and it was really the one significant art museum west of Toronto. And there was nothing really between Toronto and Vancouver. And it was founded with the help of city aldermen, with private funding coming in. It evolved quickly. It was paired with the Winnipeg School of Art for about 20 years. And in 1971, it moved into a brand spanking new modernist building, one of the most important modernist structures in
It's
Canada.
a great building, yeah.
And here we are, just a couple years short of our centennial. So it's pretty exciting.
And through the years, it's really developed a reputation, has it not? I mean, just not only nationally, but internationally. Can you tell us about that and how it's cultivated that reputation and how it's actually gained that reputation?
The WAG has always prided itself in partnering with other major institutions and organizations, not just in Canada, but in the United States and in Europe. Our collection is over 24,000 objects, but of those, about 11,000 are Inuit sculptures, Inuit also known as Eskimo,
Right.
sculptures, prints, drawings, textiles, which gives us a distinction in terms of this unique collection. And for that, we partnered with countries around the world in terms of Aboriginal First Nations exchanges, and it's something we take great pride in. We also have a strong European collection, historical, decorative arts, glass, ceramic, silver, and then almost as strong as the Inuit would be our Canadian collection, both historic and modern and contemporary.
Now, how is the gallery funded? I assume you have membership and things like that, but how is it funded?
We rely largely on government funding, nationally, federally, provincially, and the city. That makes up close to half of our operating budget. And then the rest is through membership, through rentals, through ticket revenue, and some earned revenue.
How are things going right now?
Things are okay. You know, what is slow and what is down is corporate support,
Sure.
foundation support, but our membership is up, which is a good thing because for me, it's working at that grassroots level that we have to build a core. I'd like to think that we can double our membership for our centennial year, which is one of my goals.
Now, how do you get, I've been up there, you had a Warhol exhibit a few years ago that we did a story on, Eyes of a Child, which is a local thing that we'll show a clip from soon. But when you get exhibits from around the world, how does it work in the art world? How do you get exhibits like that? And how does that work, Stephen?
It's a combination of reciprocity and partnerships. We send out our collections for exhibitions. We have loans going out every month to other organizations. We partner with other museums where we would share all the costs to do a show. We do that with the National Gallery. We've done it with Minneapolis Institute. We also bring in major, what you might call blockbuster shows. You pay a fee, the show comes in, it's up for 3 months. I like to think that there's 3 parts to our exhibitions. There's our permanent collection, which we constantly exhibit and rotate. There are the shows that we produce, and then there are the shows we bring in from other organizations.
And what are you looking for, Stephen? I mean, is there a niche? Is there a mission that the WAG has where, you know, this exhibit would work for us and maybe this exhibit wouldn't work for us? You have Salvador Dali exhibits there in the past and all kinds of stuff. Baroque art is always an interesting one I remember seeing up there. But how do you go about determining what one maybe fits into your mission and maybe some others that don't?
Well, the mission is broad enough that it really evolves with your community. And just in terms of the demographics of Winnipeg have changed probably since you've been going up there. And it means we have to reach out in different ways. My goal is that more people will have reasons to come into the WAG, that it's a destination. So you will always have what you might call the blue chip, historical, the old masters,
Right.
Baroque. But we also have to be exploring new media, new cultures, more in terms of contemporary art. And I can tell you in 5 years, we'll probably revisit what our mission is in terms of what content we would exhibit. So it's changing. I would like to think that you can do the very popular, a show like Marilyn Monroe, and the very serious, like European Baroque paintings, and meet the needs, the interests of a lot of different people.
A lot of artists nowadays are using digital media. That's what you're talking about when you talk about modern different things like that, correct?
It's new media. It's not just video and film, but it's also different types of installations, performance pieces, which can be challenging for some audiences, but it is part of our mission.
You mentioned your permanent collection, and that's grown over the years, obviously. How does something become part of the permanent collection? What process do you go through to make it permanent in your collection?
It's a very strict process based on artistic, technical, historical criteria, and whether the gift is being donated, whether the object is being donated or we're acquiring it through purchase, it goes through the same structure. Our curators look at objects. We have an acquisitions committee, which also includes members of our Board of Governors who look at objects, whether they're fitting into the mandate of our collection, can we maintain them, and the collection grows by hundreds of works every year. We have some acquisition funds through endowment, but we rely largely on private funding. There's also matching funds through the Canada Council, so we would buy work for $20,000 and they would give us half the funds to acquire it if it's a contemporary piece. So different ways, but it's something that we take very seriously in terms of what we add to the collection and how it'll serve our mission.
You mentioned the Inuit collection, which is a big part of what you do. How did that all get started years ago, obtaining Inuit art?
The Inuit collection really began by virtue of our physical location in being the most northern capital in the world, I think, and given the proximity to Hudson Bay and Northwest Territories and the Yukon, there were people teaching Inuit culture at the universities in Winnipeg. Collectors came in. They would often travel to Winnipeg before they would head north to Churchill. Several large gifts came in the 50s, and one gift brought in another, and before you knew it, people were bringing in more work, knowing that we were the definitive, the authority in terms of Inuit art collecting, and it's grown to 11,000 objects.
Can you talk about maybe some current exhibits that are up right now as we speak and people are watching, and then maybe some exhibits you have coming up after that are coming in the future? This might take a while to answer this one, but just kind of go through what's up right now and what can people expect.
What you can expect is a pretty diverse offering. We have 4 galleries devoted to the permanent collection with paintings, sculptures, drawings, works on paper from 1500 to 1950, over 200 objects. There's also a specific show on decorative arts, English porcelain, which came through a large collection, a gift recently. We have the Warner Brothers show, which is really exciting, which features the most important decades of animation production in the United States and in the world through the Warner Brothers studio. So all the iconic images, Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, Sylvester, and all those guys and girls, are in the show, represented through cells, drawings, paintings, preparatory work that kind of survey the entire animation studio production. Coming up this fall, some really exciting contemporary shows. Wanda Coop would be one of Canada's leading contemporary artists. We're partnering with the National Gallery. That's a show that opens in September. Following Wanda Coop is a blockbuster show, I'll call it that. The work of Fernando Botero, great Colombian-born but now living in Paris sculptor, painter, and right now this show is touring the United States, and it'll bring together some amazing images. That, in a nutshell, is some of the things on now and coming up.
And you have the Eyes of a Child exhibit up through May 2nd. Is that
Yes.
correct? Tell us about that, and then we're going to watch a clip from that.
Through the Eyes of a Child is a fabulous project. We have one of the largest studio programs for children, for adults, for school children, where they produce work weekends during the day. And this show features the work of over 800 students in our studio program who've participated in this year. And we open up one of our major galleries and exhibit the work from 6-year-olds all the way up to 18-year-olds.
Well, as I said, we were up there a few years ago now, but did a story on the Eyes of a Child exhibit, and let's take a look at that story so people get an idea of what the art gallery looks like and what this specific exhibit looks like as well.
Well, this is an exhibit of children's work, children who take our art courses in fall and winter every year. So that amounts to about 800 children, and we have about 300 pieces of artwork on display here. So some of the children are represented by group projects, which might be a mural or something large that they've all had a hand in, and some are represented by individual pieces. We just never have enough room to put 800 pieces in, and we want everybody to be represented in some way. Their ages 5 to 17. It's always a treat for myself and for the viewers who come in to see just how sophisticated a lot of the work is, definitely how imaginative they are, and it's just a lot of fun to see what they come up with, because they have a totally different perspective than we as adults do. They're just very creative and uninhibited. Quite a broad variety of materials. We use donated materials sometimes, like people will donate felt or yarn or fabric or magazines, all kinds of things, and they all find their way into people's art projects. One of the features about the show, actually, you'll see a lot of pieces like this clay one here is a project based on an exhibition that the students would have toured through. So one of the main features of our program is that the students, that differs from other art schools in the city, is that the students all get a chance to come and see the exhibitions that are on, and they usually do some drawing or they do some work based on what they've seen. It all has an individual twist. So these are actually based on a Rodin show that was here just recently. They're all variations on one particular sculpture that they saw. They do painting, they do drawing, they work with clay, they work with all sorts of odds and ends, recycled materials to make sculptures and a variety of things. So we try to introduce them to a lot of different art supplies, and we introduce them to technical information, how to use the paint, how to use the clay, and try to get their minds going on different ideas as well as techniques. We actually always have quite a few self-portraits, and I think that's a pretty common choice of a subject because it's something that everybody can relate to. You're working with yourself, and it gives them a chance to express something about themselves. It just seems like a good starting point for a lot of different lessons. We have a bunch of small mirrors that they would receive, and then they work from that. In some cases, they have taken some photos. There's one part of the exhibition this year that has photos paired with the drawings that they did. It's delight, really, I'd say in one word. I conducted a tour through here just last week, shortly after it opened. And as I was waiting for the group to come up, as soon as they came around the corner and got their first glance, they just all started to smile. And I think that's the most common reaction. And then people are amazed and delighted at it. It's just wonderful.
amazing, Stephen, isn't it? The artwork that these kids come up with, isn't it?
It's fabulous and totally uninhibited. And you see the kids will bring in their brothers and sisters and parents and grandparents. So it's not only does it bring new people into the WAG, but it also gets them to see the crucial part of the artistic process at that age.
And again, it's called Through the Eyes of a Child. It's up through May 2nd right now at the Art Gallery. Let's hit on some other things in our about 9 or 10 minutes remaining here. Art classes that members of the public can take. Can you talk about those and what that involves?
Fabulous offerings in terms of all types of art studio, whether it's photography, painting, drawing, sculpture, weaving. We have over 12 part-time and full-time professional artists teaching there. We also have relationships with the Prairie School of Photography. You can take classes in the evenings, during the day, and on the weekends. We have intense workshop, like a 2-day program. We have 2-week, 1-week summer programs. And you go to our website, and you get an idea of just the range of courses you could take. It's very impressive, and it is one of the largest of its kind in Canada.
They can sign up for that by calling or going to the website, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. What's the website again?
www.wag.ca.
That's easy. We'll give you that chance to say that again when we're done as well. You mentioned the Warner Brothers exhibit. How did that come about, getting that?
Warner Brothers show was actually pretty well signed before I arrived, and they'd been working on this. Again, it's an exhibition that we hope will engage new audiences. Not only are these very familiar images, but they're images that are appealing to adults as well as children, because for me, I saw them as a kid, but now children are seeing them in reruns. But it also is the foundation of contemporary animation. So you're seeing how animation was done from the 30s to the 70s. And it really is an eye-opener in a field that has completely changed, if you think of what's going on now.
Let's talk about some other things. Curator tours with Mary Reed. What are these?
There are curator tours weekly. We have them set up on the weekends. And curators that have worked on specific shows are available for a number of half an hour, 45-minute talks and tours. So actually all of our curators, and there are 4 of them, are pretty well scheduled throughout the exhibition year.
So not just Mary, but others.
Mary, Helen, Andrew, and Darlene.
Sure.
We have lunch hour talks, evening talks, and more intense workshops where they can learn about collecting or art making.
And then we have weekend drop-in tours. What are these, and when do those happen? Weekends, obviously.
Those are, Saturdays and Sundays, like 12 and 2 and 4 p.m. And the announcement would come on, and you would just meet in a specific gallery, and you'll be met by a curator or by one of our trained educators who usually are focusing on a particular exhibition or part of the permanent collection.
You also have, maybe this kind of goes with the Warner Brothers thing, but the Manitoba Animation Exhibit, is that up right now or will be up?
Yes.
Okay, what is that? I know Cordell Barker is involved with that, and Cordell Barker is an Oscar-nominated animator from Winnipeg. So tell us about this. Pretty exciting.
We're trying to bring Warner Brothers right up to date. So we're partnering with a number of studios and production houses in Winnipeg. We're also working with the University of Manitoba in their animation division. So students are brought in, and the audiences are seeing how animation has changed even in the last 10 years. And the nice thing about it, you see all aspects of this historical development.
You mentioned some of the exhibits up right now, coming up in the summer and the fall. Talk again a little bit about the reputation the WAG has internationally, nationally, and throughout Canada.
Our reputation was built largely on the strengths of our collection, the skills of our curators, and then very fortuitous partnerships early on in our history. We've always partnered with the National Gallery, which is Canada's leading art museum. We partner with Vancouver, other major Canadian museums, but we've also taken out exhibitions working with places like the Minneapolis Institute. We've worked with Chicago. We've worked with Los Angeles County Museum. And on top of that, we have formed interesting relationships with European museums, particularly those who have large collections of what we call Aboriginal cultures. France, Australia, we've worked with South Asia. in terms of exhibiting cultures within our country that have similarities, parallels with other cultures, being of a First Nation status.
How many employees at the WAG?
It's about 65 full and part-time employees.
Okay. Do you have volunteers too that help out, or how does that work?
We have a large volunteer corps. We have a unique group of men and women, the volunteer associates, who not only volunteer their time, they do a lot of fundraising events. We have teen volunteers. We have a teen system. We get students volunteering of all ages. We have university internships and stages where they come in to work for 2 or 3 weeks. It's a part of our organization that I'm always trying to build because they are like employees and we need more volunteers. And it's
Talk a little bit too about the cultural importance that the gallery plays in Winnipeg and Manitoba, and also kind of fitting into the vibrant downtown in Winnipeg and the kind of its part down there as well.
Well, as you know, the WAG is right downtown, 2 blocks away from our legislature building. And not only do we have a national presence, we also have a very strong local presence. We are Winnipeg's premier museum. We are Manitoba's premier museum. So we do reach out in terms of local audiences, exhibitions of local artists, associations. We are constantly trying to re-engage the 700,000 people that live in the Winnipeg proper area.
And what's some of the reactions you get when people come through? I assume they can leave comments and things like that, but what's kind of the reactions of people when they first come to the Winnipeg Art Gallery?
Well, as you visited yourself, you know it's quite a stark modernist building, and some people say it's difficult to even penetrate. But once you're inside, there's some fabulous spaces, large. The building is clad in a limestone, which is a local stone in Manitoba, throughout, inside and outside. There are great large gallery spaces, a fabulous auditorium, studio spaces, a great gallery shop. Our goal is that people of any background can come in and feel comfortable and have some sort of connection with our exhibitions, our collection, our spaces. We have fabulous programs, events that support exhibitions. We have film series. We do a number of fundraising events and reaching out beyond what we think is the core mission of the WAG.
A few minutes left. Why don't you go through again the exhibits that are currently up right now and then what people can expect in the summer and fall?
The Warner Brothers show and opening in June, 2 really exciting Canadian shows. The Nude in Modern Canadian Art, looking at the role of the naked figure from about 1930 to 1950. A big contemporary show, Diana Thornycroft, who plays on Canada's Group of 7, a very famous group of painters working in the 20s and 30s. And then opening in the fall, Juan de Coupe, contemporary painter, Fernand Botero, Colombian-born French sculptor and painter. Throughout that time, you'll have the galleries devoted to the permanent collection. So you'll see old master paintings, contemporary Canadian art. Always there's Inuit sculpture on view, decorative arts. So there's always an appeal. There's always something, I think, that would attract any audience member.
Since you've been a year and a half on the job, what were the goals you had going in? Where do you see the gallery in 5 to 10 years? I mean, what are your primary goals? And maybe also what's kind of a typical day like for you as executive director?
My one goal is to get us to 2012 with a bang, is to augment, to enrich the visitor experience, to make the WAG more relevant in people's lives, that art, actually, there is an advocacy role. Typical day for me, it changes. I'm trained as a curator, so I still enjoy working with the curators. Half of my time is spent development, fundraising, stewardship. We have a board of governors and a foundation that requires a fair bit of attention. I try to keep connected to the business, to the arts, to the academic community, and a fair bit of travel. I'm trying to put the WAG on a larger map, so it have a larger place, not only in people's lives in Winnipeg, but across the country and into the United States. We rely on people from Fargo, from Grand Forks, from Minneapolis. We enjoy their visitorship.
When you say travel too, is that part of that networking where you meet people at other galleries around the world, kind of getting your name out there? Not that it's not known, but that's all a big part of it is networking, right?
Yes, I serve on AEMD, which is the Art Museum Directors Group, and CAMDO, the Canadian Art Museum Directors Group. We meet biannually and annually, and dealing with issues that would affect any type of art museum.
About 30 seconds left. If people want more information about getting involved, membership in the WAG, information on exhibits, where can they go? Who can they call?
Go to our website, which is a fabulous website. It's a new website, www.wag.ca, and you can see everything from our exhibitions, our permanent collection, programs. You can sign up. You get an idea of what kind of education programs there are. It's everything you need on that website.
Okay. Well, thanks, Stephen, for being here. Stephen
Thank you.
Boris is the executive director of the Winnipeg Art Gallery, one of the real gems of Manitoba. Please stop in when you're in Winnipeg. Well, that's all for this edition of Prairie Pulse. I'm Matt O'Lean. Thanks for watching.